We have the dehaze option here. We can reduce the haze amount if it's a little bit too much on her face, maybe increase the clarity amount so we get some more of that sharper light inside of that hazing glow. And then we also have the curve here where we can bring that up or bring it down depending on where we want that light to hit. Maybe a little bit more in the highlights. Adobe recently introduced Dehaze and Clarity in Photoshop. This was a tool that was in Adobe Camera Raw and Lightroom, and while I like the fact that it's here inside of Photoshop, it works like a hammer. So let's take a look at it and I'll tell you what I mean. And then we're gonna see if we can tame it and make it even better. So what we're gonna do here is I'm going to add a Clarity and Dehaze adjustment to this. And I'm gonna see what happens if I reduce the haze. You know, sometimes we bring this up to increase more contrast. But if we bring it down, we can actually get more of a hazy, more ethereal effect, which works out really well actually for this waterfall that we have here. And with the clarity, we can either bring that up or bring that down, but it just feels like it's moving entirely too fast. You know, if I just go barely, it's like it's not enough, and it just feels like it's targeting entirely too much in my image. And this is where using something like a very targeted mask can be very beneficial. And for that, I'm gonna go into channels. Now, I know that many people are afraid of channels. I used to be one of those people as well. I actually made a new course on channels. Actually, let me take a moment to talk about that now, and then we'll resume this tutorial. Most photographers hear the word channels and they think, nope, that's way too technical. Or maybe that's just not for me. And I get it because that was me for a long time too. I stayed in those comfortable tools like select subject, maybe color range, brushing mask by hand, and that works. Sooner or later, you hit the same wall that most of us hit, and you know exactly what you want to change in the image, but you just can't isolate it cleanly and make a nice blend because the edges maybe look fake, the transitions maybe feel harsh, and sometimes the mask actually looks like a cardboard cutout instead of blending into the image like you want it to. And that's where channels change everything. But that's only if you stop thinking red, green, and blue and start thinking these channels, these are mask maps. They show you where the image naturally kind of splits so your masks look believable. And then your edits feel like they belong. In this course, Channels Beyond Luminosity Masking, I'll show you how to read the separation, how to pull clean selections, and how to go beyond basic luminosity masking. You'll learn advanced control with tools like calculations and apply image. But here's the deal. I don't want this to be a math class. I want it to be approachable. I'm gonna be clear though, this is not for speed editing 1,000 photos. This is for images that you really care about. This is for those images that you want those final results to look like fine art results. If you've been fighting messy masks and you're ready for real control and you want to experiment and play with masks with childlike curiosity to make it fun again, then this course was designed for you. You like that music? I was pretty proud of myself for putting that one together. But the thing is here, let's just go ahead and delete this Clarity and Dehaze. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this by making a selection for a channel. Now, in the channels course, I break down how I look at these channels from red, green, and blue, and it's not by what you'd think. It's not based on red, it's not based on green, and it's not based on blue. It's what I want to find in the image and what I think is going to be most beneficial for the image for me to get the effect that I want. In this case, I want something that's balanced. I want a mask that is balanced. The blue tends to favor the highlights here. The reds tend to favor even more of those highlights. And the green is kind of like a good balance in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the control key and click on the green channel. And that'll make a selection for this channel. Now, I already know what you're thinking. You're like, Blake, you lost me at channels, and I get that. I made a whole course. It's 3.5 hours long for you that can really help you with channels. But on top of that, I'm also going to give you an action at the end of this that will do all the work for you. So if you don't want to think about the channel stuff right now, don't. Okay, just follow along and watch what we're going to produce with this. So I'm going to click back on the RGB preview here to make sure that I can see my image as it is, go over to my layers, and then I'll make a Clarity and Dehaze adjustment. Okay, so now you see that now our Clarity and Dehaze adjustment also has a mask on it. And that mask is specifically for a targeted area. Anywhere that you see white is where Clarity and Dehaze is going to affect. Anything that is black, it will not affect. And anything that is middle gray, it'll kind of barely affect that along the way. So it kind of transitions. That way we get a smoother transition from things that we need to have this more ethereal glow than things that we don't. And the process that I'm creating here is kind of like an Orton effect, but it's not an Orton effect because you're going to see that with this technique, you're going to have so much control over this. I would call it something like the Rudis effect or something like that, but I don't really know if I'm pretentious enough to name a technique after myself, but yeah, you'll be the judge of that, I guess. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and drop that dehaze now again. And I want you to see that as I move this down and then maybe press the shift key to turn the mask off, you can see how we have a more natural blend for this dehaze to affect the things that the haze should affect, especially when I'm bringing it down in the opposite direction. And that is wonderful. It's really quite nice, actually. Now, with the clarity, let's bring that up a little bit and then bring it down a little bit. If we bring it down, it's really going to reduce that even more. But what I like about this is that as we bring the dehaze down and we bring the clarity up, we almost get these like highlights hitting inside of this almost ethereal kind of wash over the image. Now, we aren't done yet. It doesn't look that great to begin with now, but we're going to continue to level up this effect so we can turn clarity and dehaze in Photoshop into something incredibly awesome for your workflow. This is not going to be able to be done in Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw. This can only be done in Photoshop. So let's make this something like -100 and then maybe it's something like +10. Okay, just we'll start that for the baseline. Now I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit because it's a little bit strong. Now, if we were going to go with that traditional hazy effect, one of the best blend modes for this would be the screen blend mode because it'll make everything brighter as it does it. So this will give us a little bit of lift to that and makes it a little bit stronger in that ethereal kind of glow that we have in the image. And again, this is not looking that great right now. And for the most part, it's because it's not really kind of creating that blooming effect that we want. So when I made this effect, my goal was I don't want to make your traditional Orton effect that takes pixel data and makes it very hard to manage, because at that point, all you really can do is work with the Gaussian blur for the effect. I wanted something that would give you a lot of control. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go onto the mask, and on this mask, I'm going to feather the mask. And as I start to feather this mask, you're going to see that the areas that the mask was affecting are now allowed to blur into other areas. And this is where this gets really powerful, because you can really control this ethereal kind of glowing effect that you're going to get on your image. At this point, we can probably call it something like channel atmosphere. We won't call it the Rudis effect. That's kind of weird. So let's put this at 100 pixels. And this effect is almost done. But at this point, I feel like the effect is almost going too far out in all directions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a levels adjustment directly to the mask. So when I have the mask selected, I can go to Image, Adjustments, and then Levels. And again, I don't want you to remember any of this stuff, folks. There is an action you can download, and I'm going to show you that on the rest of these 3 images. So I'm going to change this to 55. Okay, that will pinch in those darks by 55 pixels, or that's basically about 2.5 zones of light there. And then we're going to do 55 on the other side and pinch that in. So we'll go 200 here. Again, 2.5 zones on the white side. So what that's going to do is it's going to brighten this effect while also containing the effect a little bit more. And then we'll press OK. So here is our effect so far. And again, I like to start out heavy and then work my way down. So what do I have at this point that can manage this effect? Well, I can drop my opacity a little bit more here. Okay, so that can be something that is affecting this. I can also work on the feather of the mask, and that can be another thing that modifies this glow. But there's one more thing I want to add to this. Again, we're going to level it up. And with that leveling, I want to add a curves adjustment to this effect. What that will do is it'll allow a curve to modify everything that is happening in this clarity and dehaze effect. So I'm going to go ahead and add a curves adjustment layer here. So I'm going to press and hold the Alt or Option key and then click in between the curves layer and the clarity layer. And that will make sure that this curves adjustment layer only goes into this layer here. It's basically borrowing the properties of the layer below and using that for the curve. So it would basically be the mask at this point. But here's the cool part, is that maybe the darker areas, I don't want them to be so bright. Well, I can pull this curve down and that will make those darker areas less bright. But maybe in the bright areas, I want to make them brighter. See that? Now we have almost like a range here that we're working with on this atmospheric kind of glowing effect that we have in our image. Furthermore, what if I want to add some color? I don't want you to be afraid of going into the RGB curves of the curve. So what I'm going to do here is go into the red curve and maybe give the highlight areas a little bit more warmth while making the shadow areas a little bit cooler. Okay, so that's going to add some cyan to the darker areas, and that's going to add some red to those highlight areas. So now we'll head down to blue, because the opposite of blue is yellow. So I want to make the highlights a little bit more on the yellow side while making those shadows a little bit more on the cooler side. And you see I have complete control over this Orton-style effect, or this channel atmosphere effect. And it is wonderful. You're going to see it on the next 3 images here. And then if I want to, I can go into the green and maybe give it a little bit more light in the green or in the magenta. This is more of a finessing kind of color where we blend in the colors, basically acting like a painter on a palette and mixing our color here. Again, another thing that I talk about in the channels course. Okay, so let's head back to the RGB curve. Our curve looks really funky, right? If we were to press Alt or Option in between here and look at this, oh, that's an ugly curve. So the thing is here, that clipping mask is allowing this curve to only go into this area. And then we get a nice, beautiful kind of light on top of that glowing effect. And again, this is 100% modifiable with either a brush or blend if, or even adding your own adjustment layers on top of this and clipping it into this layer. So let me show you this action. I'm gonna go to this image right here. It even works on portraits. I'm gonna go down to the channel atmosphere. I did put Rudis effect there, but whatever. That's just so you know that you didn't get it from some random stranger on the internet. We're gonna go ahead and press play for the channel atmosphere. And look at that. Wonderful. Now, what do you have to modify this? Since you didn't go through all the steps that I did to create this, and you're just pressing play on an action. Again, this is actually not included in the channels course. So if you do get the channels course, you can add this right into the actions that I'm going to give you for the channels course. And it'll be a nice little supplement there. So looking at this layer here, we have the dehaze option here. We can reduce the haze amount if it's a little bit too much on her face, maybe increase the clarity amount so we get some more of that sharper light inside of that hazing glow. And then we also have the curve here where we can bring that up or bring it down depending on where we want that light to hit. Maybe a little bit more in the highlights and a little bit less in those shadow areas. Now, I've already kind of scripted this for you and given you a little bit of a bump in the reds and a little bit of a bump in the yellow, as you can see on this curve, just to give you a good baseline and starting point for this. But this is 100% modifiable also in your dehaze and clarity settings. But not only there, if we go into the mask itself, we can feather that mask and reduce the feather of that mask depending on how we want this glowing light effect to be. And the question is, why do we want to do this anyway? And if you didn't ask that question, I think it'd be kind of foolish. The thing is here, when you get those highlights to kind of glow like that, those highlights bring the viewer into the image. And I can share that with you if I were to press a button here on my visionary panel. I'll turn the tone evaluation on here, okay? And then let me reclip that in here. And with this tone evaluation, what that is showing us here is that the eye is going to any areas that are of highest highlight. So the before, the highlight is really here and it's back here. But if we want to create this almost ethereal atmosphere where this woman would be about ready to get married, or maybe she's already got married, she's talking to a bridesmaid, we want to get that feeling and that mood in there, this quick little action can help you do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this image here and see if it helped on this one. We'll go ahead and press our tone evaluation here, okay? And then I'll turn that on and off. You see, it just gives us a little bit of a boost to those brighter white areas that kind of tricks the eye into going, these areas are not blown out, meaning they do not have too much highlight in them. We still actually have a lot of that structure and detail underneath those highlight areas, but it fools the eye and makes those highlights kind of have a blooming effect. Let's see if we can do that on another image like this one. Again, I'm just going to press play on this action and show you how simple this is. I also want you to know, though, I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff in the actions course, okay? I know I'm going a little bit fast here, but we're on a YouTube video here and you want the action. That's pretty much how YouTube works. I know I've been doing this for quite a while. But in that channels course, those who want to take it much further have the option to do so. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and increase the dehaze just a little bit more, decrease the dehaze, and you see how we got that glowing effect just how we want it to in this image. I can click on the mask and change the feather depending on how we want those highlights to glow in the image. And then again, I also have my curve where I can modify how this is affecting the image within the curve. I can even make a 3-point curve here and bring that down in the shadow areas so it's not affecting them as much, and bring this up in the highlight areas so it affects them a little bit more. And there we go. Now, this also has those pre-canned R, G, and B values in it. So maybe I'll just pull this down and make those shadow areas of that glow a little bit more on the cooler side, and the warmer areas in that glow a little bit more on the red side. Those highlights get a little bit more red, shadows get a little bit more cool. Okay, now let's see this if this works on this one too. Put the tone evaluation on here to see where the viewer's eye is going and see if we fooled them into going into this space a little bit more. Anywhere that you see white is going to pull the viewer in just a little bit more. And again, this can be a subtle thing too. You know, we have this set to a 75% opacity, but even if you just want a little bit of a bump, bring it all the way down to 0 and then slowly start to bring this up, and you can see how that glowing effect is going to help. And it's not quite as as like smeary and smudgy as a traditional Orton effect. That's why I really like this effect. And again, every effect has its place, okay? This is just an example of that. Let me go ahead and show you on this one. Again, I'm gonna press play on this action. All right, look at that effect that we have there, that glowing effect. And then we'll go ahead and modify the dehaze. See where you want that, pull it back a little bit, maybe increase the clarity a little bit more on that to get some more of that bolder highlight in there as we bring that up. And then we can click on the mask. Is the feather where we want it to be? Let's go ahead and bring that up. Feather it a little bit more to cut some of that really harsh contrast that we had inside the boat. That's really what that's helping out with. It's actually making a really strong connection now between the glow of the inside of this boat and the glow of that light in the background, which traditionally probably would have been considered a blowout, but I think it actually works pretty well in this case. And then we also have our curve. Bring this down in those darker areas so it doesn't affect them quite as harshly, and bring it up in those highlight areas. This is something that you can really experiment with and have a ton of fun with. Look at the way that this effect comes off. It's very simple. It's very delicate. It's not harsh. It just fools the eye wonderfully when we use something like the tone evaluation on here. We can tell that we now have a little bit more highlight in that boat. We're connecting the highlights a little bit more. And that's what we're doing for the viewer's eye. We're pulling them into that space without having them get lost in that space. As I said before, I'm going to teach you all kinds of stuff in the channels course. So much stuff, it is going to blow your mind, but it's going to make it accessible. Channels are incredibly difficult to wrap your head around. I just used one in this instance because I didn't want to take it too far down the rabbit hole, but that's what that course is for. Download this action. I really want you to use this, and I can't wait to see what you think about it in the comments section below. And as always, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I like to take difficult things in Photoshop, make them seemingly simple so you can use them in your workflow today, even with a clever little action like this. I hope you enjoy.